If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When tires meet road water, they can do two things: channel the water and remain on pavement, or skim on top of the water. Hydroplaning occurs when tires, especially bald ones, ride on a wedge of water and lose contact with the road. Your car is literally skiing in the street. When this happens, take your foot off the gas, but don't brake. Braking can cause your car, and sometimes you, to spin out of control. But the best way to hedge against hydroplaning is to equip your car with well-treaded tires. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Lime green, smoky black, pomegranate red, and crystal clear. If you're thinking fashion colors for spring, back up and think car fluids. And when I come back, I'll tell you all about them.
O'Reilly.
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The same spring shades you see on Paris runways can be found on garage floors. And these colors speak volumes as to current or potential problems. Lime green says, coolant, check your radiator. Smoky black whispers oil leaks, could be engine, differential, or power steering. Pomegranate or brownish red hints transmission fluid. And crystal clear may say harmless condensation, or may shout danger, your brake fluid's leaking. Make sure your car's in the pink. Catch these fluids on a newspaper for your mechanic to evaluate. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Water. We sail on it and wash with it. And in cars, it belongs in the radiator. But H2O in tires is dangerous. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Water's just great in mountain streams, but when it sneaks into tires, the danger's crystal clear. Water and the dirt it carries can warp the inside of your tires. Here's how it gets in. Moisture collects in air pump compressors. When tire valves connect with pump valves, this unwanted water piggybacks right into your tire. To prevent this unwelcomed hitchhiker, jiggle the pump valve and release some air. If you get soggy, ease on down to the next watering hole. Service station. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Remember when commuting was like puttering down Disney World's Main Street? If drive time now is more like Tomorrowland's Speedway, you may be the victim of road rage. When I come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the coolest summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If your morning drives like Mr. Toad's wild ride and an afternoon's an extraterrestrial alien encounter, beware, you're not at Disney's Magic Kingdom. 1,500 people are killed annually from aggressive driving outbursts or road rage. American College of Emergency Physicians has some advice. De-stress by giving yourself extra time. Avoid driving when angry, upset, overtired. Don't tailgate, block passing lanes, or overuse your horn. Come on, prevent road rage and save lives. It's a small world after all. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Hannah, good morning. Welcome. Also, we'll open the 888 Car Clinic number. Hannah will take your calls at 888-227-2546, which is a little easier for you to remember. And I want to welcome you to today's program. I'll tell you, a lot going on around the world and a lot going around with the weather and the beautiful days. But one of the most important factors of today is, number one, I'm here as your personal car consultant. So sit back, relax, and ride along with me this hour. Give me a call if you have a car question or if you have a fuel question, an oil question, anything that relates to keeping your car in your garage and or on the road in a safe manner. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Remember how well your brakes used to work? Well, if it's taking longer to stop, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Summer Brake Deals event. Take advantage of O'Reilly's Do It Right rebate and get a $25 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day. Your calls at 888-227-2546. Oh, as if I were going to forget. Terry Sabiston, live from Daytona International Speedway. Today, folks, July 7th, we've got a really great event, the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar 400. Coming up. Don't touch that dial.
O'Reilly.
When it comes to safety, nothing is more important than your vehicle's brakes. If it's hard to stop or you hear squealing or grinding noises during braking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You'll find the brake parts you need from trusted brands like Brake Best and Brake Best Select at everyday low prices. Play it safe with brakes from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Coolant leaks can be expensive, with repairs costing a few $1,000s or more. And these problems often hit vehicles late in life when they may be only worth a few $1,000s. There is an alternative. K-Seal is a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Older sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it. Talking tunes? No, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for PowerTech. Jim explained how other aftermarket accessories can integrate with performance programmers and monitors.
While traditionally known for adding horsepower and torque, the SuperChips line of product can also accommodate additional changes that you may make to your vehicle, including aftermarket tires and wheels to correct your speedometer, gear ratio changes for aftermarket gears, or even things like integrating with our on-dash display to activate your LED aftermarket lighting through our EAS power switch. We make the process seamless and easy and allow you to expand with additional accessories and use the SuperChips product to keep things in check.
And now, through June 30th, you can take advantage of a $50 rebate on all flashback tuners from SuperChips. Find your perfect tune at superchips.com. That's superchips.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with today's program. I'm really excited about having Terry back on the program. And just to give you an overview before Terry and I get started, folks, in 1991, we rolled out the Car Clinic network on 4 stations in 2 states. One of those stations was WNDB News Talk Radio in Daytona Beach, Florida. Today, we're live and on air right there where the hottest NASCAR racing comes second nature. As we have in the past Car Clinic broadcast, this morning we have Terry Sabiston, the Director of Motorsports for WNDB, on the Car Clinic hotline. Terry's going to share the latest in motorsports right from the Daytona International Speedway, which, by the way, is the world's only motorsports stadium, at this weekend's Coke Zero Sugar 400. And one of NASCAR's most anticipated events, the Coke Zero Sugar 400 brings together NASCAR racing under the lights at night with the pageantry and the patriotism to make for an Independence Day weekend celebration unlike no other. Terry, I'm really excited to have you back in the house. Welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Oh, Bobby, it's great to be on Bobby Likis and talking to you and all your listeners. It's a beautiful day here at Daytona International Speedway, and I'm just trying to get far away from the noise because we actually do have noise on track right now. It's supposed to figure there's no cup action or Xfinity action or truck action, but there's ride-along action. Ride-along, race day ride-alongs where you can go out and take a lap around Daytona International Speedway and here today where the fans are all here and everything's all set up. So I might be heading over to take a lap here, Bobby.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that you and or I have been around that track. But when you say take a lap, so let's say if I'm just a fan and I'm there in the infield, how do I go about getting into a car with a driver?
You head over toward pit road and you find that little trailer over there and they'll put you in a uniform, set you in the passenger seat and run you around the track for about 3 laps.
Now that makes my heart go fast. So Terry, and all kidding aside, how fast do they really go? 100, 150, 200?
I've done the ride along and the drive along, and they do have a restrictor plate on them and a restrictor on them. But I've seen around 170 miles an hour, 165 on a ride along, and I hit 163 top speed when I was driving, when I did my 6 laps driving a few years back. And that was an experience in itself, believe me. That was not an easy thing to do, to hop in a race car and take a couple laps around Daytona National Speedway.
You know, I think that obviously a lot of people historically have not considered NASCAR drivers or race car drivers to be athletes, but when you think about the constant pounding and then the mental, not only the physical, but the mental load and stress, where you have to know where your car is on the track, where the track is, how fast it is, and then when those guys run, I don't know, how many cars are on the track at 35 cars at one time?
Well, we roll off the field with 40, and you never know how long those 40 cars will last.
So where's it best to be, on the pole or in the very back at the beginning of a race?
Well, at Daytona National Speedway, it's come up that it doesn't really matter. When you're running 3 and 3 wide and you want to, 10 rows back, you're in 30th place. Well, you could easily be the next lap around running, second or third in that row or up front. So qualifying really doesn't make much difference, and that's come out this week at Daytona. At other tracks, it does. Daytona, the pit boxes are huge. Your pit box, your choice of pit box doesn't really make a difference, and that's how you get it as your qualifying order. So here at Daytona, go out and do the best you can qualifying. There's prestige when Speed Weeks is here. Not as much here for 4th of July, unless it's the same guys that were leading at Speed Weeks for the pole, which it just so happens that's what it looks like we're having is the same 2 guys for front row of the Daytona 500 are the same 2 guys here for the, let me get this right now, I'm practicing Coke Zero Sugar 400.
Coke Zero Sugar. That's really interesting, that Coke Zero Sugar. And, of course, as I understand, the Coca-Cola taste is the same, but no sugar. And I think that's important. A lot of folks think Coke Zero is 0 calories. Well, it is, but 0 sugar as well. I think that's really interesting. Tell us about the 2 leaders of the pack.
Well, Chase Elliott up front, just amazing to see him. Here he is, a young driver coming up, and for the second time on the pole here at Daytona National Speedway. And then Alex Bowman, Dale Jr. is filling those shoes, which that's impossible to do, but the replacement driver in his car. And so that's the front row, and the young guys on the front row, exciting to see, but really, it doesn't matter if you don't get anything for leading the first lap. It's only that last lap that gets you that trip to victory lane. Which last night we had fireworks here last night in the Firecracker 250, Coca-Cola Firecracker 250 Xfinity race. So it was a lot of fun last night, and we get to do it all over again tonight.
So, Terry, give us a rundown of when an official race starts today, like at 1 or 2 or 3, and then tonight, what time the official race, and is the Coke Zero Sugar race, is it tonight or tomorrow night? It is tonight, right?
It's tonight.
Okay.
It rolls off, I think, 7:40, approximate start time. MRN comes on at 6 o'clock. We come on right after you here on WNDB Racing Team, and we're on from 12 to 6. There is no track activity other than the ride-alongs today. other than I do believe, and I'm going to try and do this, the pace car ride along is coming up at about 12:50 this afternoon. So I'll probably do that, record it, and play it back later. But there is no track activity officially today other than, concerts and just the excitement of being here, building up to it. But yeah, come 6 o'clock, MRN takes over. 7:40, they roll off, and they're going 400 miles. And last night's race took about 2.5, I think 2 hours, a little over 2 hours and 2.5 hours. So we're figuring probably 3.5 tonight for the 400.
So what's the fastest speeds this year, and has NASCAR made any rule changes that you're aware of to further reduce the speed, overall speed?
Speeds, during practice, which I only had one practice session, the other was rained out, they hit about 200.7 miles an hour average lap speed. And what they have done is they've given them a bigger spoiler on the back end. I think they added about 5 inches. So during the Daytona 500, we had a lot of cars getting loose in the pack and just spinning by themselves. And I think just to give them some more stability.
Easy for you to say.
They've added some spoiler onto the back end of the car,
right,
which has made a difference, and we'll see that when they hit the track tonight.
Well, you would think with the extra 5 inches of spoiler, for every action and downforce, of course, that slows the top speed. I think it's unbelievable that they'll run 200 point anything with an extra 5 inches of wind blocker up there, because that's exactly, folks, what a spoiler is. You can make the spoiler as large as you want, but you have to realize the larger the spoiler, the more drag on the automobile, especially when you get up above 100 miles an hour, much less 150 and 60 and 80 and 200, right?
Correct, but also it gives you more downforce, which can give you more speed. So, it's a fine line. They've talked about doing some other changes. They kept the restrictor plate the same, but that's it right now. I think the spoiler's a little different. It's just amazing seeing these cars. And if you watched it on TV like last week, like I did at Chicago, and you take one of these cars they bring here, they look totally different. The back end is closed off almost all the way to the ground. They are really a aerodynamic downforce, keeping air out from underneath the car so it'll get that tighter down on the track and stay down there and give them as much traction as they can.
So let's think about just a minute, or give us a picture of what's outside the track. How's Daytona? How's the traffic on International Speedway and around Daytona Beach?
Well, this morning coming in, I try to come to the track a different way, just, because it's race day, and I've been doing it for the 3 days. And I came in over by Emery-Riddle and looking across and seeing what the Emery-Riddle campus and Daytona International Speedway and Daytona International Airport as a scenic view. It's amazing where I'm at and where I live, and the just unbelievable. The Emery-Riddle campus has grown and expanded. I went there back in 1984, and it's nothing like it was in 1984. And then when you look over a little further, you see this mile-long stadium of seats. It's colorful seats. They've made them look like people are in them. And you hear race cars in the background, and then you look over, and all the corporate jets are parked out here at the airport. And we'll be getting some more of those in today, and this becomes one of the busiest airports here when we got the races in town. Not that it's not one of the busiest when you got Emery-Riddle flying in and out of it every day. So
I hear
it's a pretty scenic view coming in here, and it's just amazing. Like I say, this is paradise for me. Airplanes, race cars, Daytona Beach. It doesn't get much better, Bobby.
Hey, Terry, thank you so much for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Folks, Terry Saveston, live from Daytona International Speedway, giving us the lowdown on the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. And that is a 400 race that starts about 7:40 tonight. Catch it on television. And if you're in the Daytona area, you better get out and get your seat. Terry, thanks for joining us today, and always a pleasure to have you in the house.
Absolutely, Bobby. Download our app, the WNDB app, and follow us on Twitter at 1150 WNDB. We'll keep you updated of all the track action on and off the track throughout the day and the night. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you. There you go, folks. Doesn't get any better. Okay, now we're going to take your calls when I come back from this break at 888-227-2546. Here we go. What exciting. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries. Joe touched on why many of today's vehicles are better suited for this technology. Let's hear from Joe.
Certain attributes that make your vehicle a good candidate for an AGM battery really depend on the electrical demands that are placed on the battery within your vehicle, as well as potentially the vehicle application, such as start-stop. Most vehicles manufactured in recent years actually contain more than 150 electrical accessories, including backup cameras, navigation systems, even power windows, which are part of our everyday lives. Our AGM batteries are manufactured to meet these electrical demands. Additionally, if you have something in your car, such as start-stop technology, you need an AGM battery to help ensure you are effectively powering your vehicle during this stop event.
Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are precision engineered to meet the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. Learn more at autobatteries.com. Berryman Products is celebrating their 100th anniversary, providing innovation to the automotive aftermarket, like Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Berryman's B12 fuel injector cleaner helps disperse moisture, dissolve gum, and other fuel residues from the entire fuel system. Berryman B12 Chem Tool is safe for catalytic converters and O2 sensors, and regular use will ensure higher compression, lower operating cost, and increase spark plug and injector life. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com.
What 100-year-old automotive company makes dozens of products to extend your vehicle's life and improve its performance?
Let me see.
Which company uses high-energy solvent technology, or HEST?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
What company introduced B12 Chem Tool over 40 years ago? Still the best fuel system cleaner on the market?
Oh, don't tell me it's
Berryman Automotive Products. Correct. Berryman Automotive Products has lubricants, cleaners, solvents, hundreds of solutions, and every product all American-made since 1918. You'll find Berryman Automotive Products at AutoZone, Pep Boys, and Walmart. Now, why would you buy anything else?
You sure ask a lot of questions.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, folks, for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic this morning. I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic, or Hannah will, and put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. There's a lot going on in the aftermarket automotive service industry, as well as the new car, the OEM industry. And a lot of the technology that we think of today is safety related and aimed at making safer cars. And that's exactly what's happening. Although you and I may not really in our hearts believe that one of these days we're going to get in, or maybe you do by now, into an automobile and tell the automobile to take you across town or over to grandmother's house and give the address to the car. And log the address in, and of course that'll all be vocal. As you know, the car's going to not only talk to the highway and follow the highway, but it's going to do the same thing with you. And if you don't believe this is true, you really need to think about the telephones that we all use these days and the interactive. In fact, phones are so interactive these days that there's even a concern about how interactive and what the phone knows that you do. And I'll give you an example for me. And I'd love to have your input on this. And I've got some information about, I'm going to share with you about the right to choose, which is the key. It's an issue in a connected car. And there's a big debate going on behind the scenes, maybe not behind the scenes to me, because I'm in that industry, but behind the scenes with regard to new car manufacturers and their franchise dealerships that service their cars, and the automotive aftermarket, and we are not connected with the new car manufacturers and the franchise because we're independent business individuals here in the U.S. So and abroad as well. So there's always that, chicken or the egg, or I guess maybe that's not the way to put it, but it's a decision that you have to make is, do you go back to the dealer to have your car serviced, even after it's out of warranty, or do you find a local independent automotive service shop? And not this past week, but 2 weeks ago, we have a vehicle in the house, and it was an ATS Cadillac. It's a 2013 model ATS Cadillac. And the owner chose to bring it to us at 2,000 miles. Yes, 2,000 miles. So let's see, 5 years. That's right, at 2,000 miles to have it serviced. And I think what initially happened was that she had just a disconnect with the dealership, which really was unnecessary, but those things happen. I'm sure that we've had some disconnects with some of our customers in our service shop, some 47 years in the business. So you're going to have, you can't be all things to all people. And just like that's one of the neat things about living in the U.S. here, we can choose where we go and what we do. Now, you have to understand that to facilitate or to repair a broken part on your new car while it is under the manufacturer's warranty, you are relegated to go back to a franchised dealer, not the franchise dealer where you bought the car, any franchise dealer. And of course, Henry Ford, a lot goes back to Henry Ford. I know that he is a visionary. I have a great deal of respect for Henry Ford, but there's no way that someone could really foresee at that particular period of time, or any period of our lives, just how significantly that would impact transportation in the world, especially in our world, albeit the United States. So I said that to say that he wanted to put together, assemble cars. So he didn't build cars. Well, I guess he did put them together in that sense of the word, but he didn't make the parts that made the car go. Some of the parts, maybe. But that was why when Henry Ford came out with the first car, it was a Model T. And why wasn't it a Model A? Well, because Model A and B and C and D and E and F and G, all the way down, those parts that he designed and had other people to build, like castings of blocks and differentials and gears and all those things that make a car go and stop and run and idle and all that, and fuel tanks, all those things, really by the time he contracted those pieces out and parts out to have them made, and those companies came back in a week or two or whatever the time it was, he didn't want that same part. He said, no, I don't want it designed that way. Well, what do you mean? This is what you gave me. I did what you said. Yeah, but I changed my mind because that doesn't work with the other part that I've also changed my mind on. So that's why the Model T came out first. So let's fast forward to today. And where I'm going with this is that the manufacturers are installing automobile parts and telemetry in automobiles like your cell phone. Your cell phone can track you and does track you. When I come out of my house and I take my cell phone and put on my stand, which I have on my steering column, which is a magnetic place to put the phone, and that way I don't have to hold it and I can hands-free. When I do that, a screen pops up and it says 12 minutes to work. Traffic is okay. I didn't tell my phone where I was going. I didn't tell my phone I was coming to the studio this morning. It knows that I come to the studio. I never programmed that. And when I leave here today and do that same action, put my phone on my steering column, or put it in the car, it doesn't have to be on the steering column, it's going to say 12, 13, or whatever minutes to downtown Pensacola, because that's where I go for lunch after every program. So that phone has tracked me, just like your computers will track you, just like your car tracks you. So the good news is that that's going to save someone's life, many lives, as we go toward the future. But the vehicle manufacturers, as I said, they're adding embedded communications, which is a technology that is a way to stay in touch with the vehicle. And here's the challenge with that. The right to choose what information is sent and where is a fundamental consumer right, as you are the owner of that vehicle. I mean, telematics is really right to repair, as we talked about, part 2, or right to choose. And that's where I'm going with this. So who owns that information? Well, the automotive aftermarket, of which I'm a part and have been for 47 years now, created an aftermarket telematics task force. And it was organized to provide a forum for all stakeholders in the aftermarket worldwide. This is not just in the United States. By coordinating our telematics solutions with counterparts in Europe, we can present a single solution to the vehicle manufacturers, improving our negotiating position. Now, what do you mean negotiating? Well, if you believe that you must return your car for maintenance services, even under the manufacturer's warranty, you are incorrect. And this is an old school, because the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act states, and it's not just about automobiles, if you buy a new product, a washing machine, a dryer, a dishwasher, a refrigerator, which I like the new refrigerator that tells you, what you need, and you can order it and you can see what you've got, and it's only seven grand, only. But that price will come down. As soon as the new wears off, I don't mean that literally, but as soon as we buy as consumers more of those units, the more units they make, the lower the price will be, down to a diminishing return. Then that's where it will park. So, and we'll see that over the next couple of years. So that information is with your car goes back to the selling dealer. Actually, it goes back to the manufacturer. And the manufacturer designs that so that they can build a better car, and they can monitor the cars that they build and know when there's a problem, even when you don't know it. Your check engine light does not have to come on for there to be an issue in that vehicle. And the manufacturer can monitor that vehicle real time. So does that mean the manufacturer knows where you are? Sure. Knows where the car is. So if you're in the car, so you can do the math. So the real challenge is, how does the aftermarket compete in that industry if we allow the OEM vehicle manufacturers to retain all the service and all of the rights to the information of that car, or at least, I guess, possession 90% of the law. So if the manufacturers have the reports real time, they know what's wrong with the car, where the car is, and they can actually send to you and blink the check engine light, or make it come on, or send an email, or even a voice text. I'm sure with OnStar you can send a voice, and with all the other manufacturers, they have their OnStar as well. I'm just not as familiar with their names, but they can tell you that you have an issue with the left rear tire, or the brake, or the fuel gauge is erratic, and therefore you can't trust the fuel gauge, and you certainly don't want to be in that position. So I share this with you because it's easy to conclude from all the media coverage that the hammer's about to fall on the aftermarket, and every vehicle equipped with OE telematics is lost forever to the dealer service channel. Well, fortunately, that's not the case, for a couple of reasons. Number one, the vehicles are generally on the roads today with this OEM embedded telematics for around 2% of the park, and are generally still under factory warranty. These vehicles won't enter the aftermarket sweet spot for several years. Number two, consumers value their freedom. We like our freedom of choice. So we're not going to allow anyone to force us to take our car to anywhere that we don't feel comfortable taking it. Now, I said all that to say that even if your car is under the manufacturer's warranty, while it is true that if you expect to pay nothing and have the dealer repair your car under the warranty, you must go back to the franchise dealer, or if you're on the highway, to another franchise dealer. It can be a dealer in Florida, it can be a dealer in Washington or New York. It doesn't matter as long as it's a franchise dealer. But do you have to go there for your maintenance? And the answer is no. Regardless of what someone tells you, you do not have to return to a franchise dealer to have your car maintained, even if it has 5 miles on it. And you wanted to, after 2,000 miles, you want to change the oil, which you should not do. You should wait at least 3,500 miles. And I'll tell you why, well, when I come back from the break. Why would you want to wait 3,500? And why would you want to change the oil at 3,500 versus the manufacturer's 7,500? When I come back, I'll share that with you, and I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries. And Joe touched on how vehicles have changed through the years and why this makes batteries with absorbed glass mat, or AGM technology, a smart choice. Let's hear from Joe.
One significant trend we see in today's vehicles are the increased electrical demands that are placed on that vehicle. So these range from features that improve the vehicle's emissions, such as start-stop vehicle applications, to comfort, convenience, and other safety features. An AGM battery is best suited to ensure that the needs of these different features are met. So if you think about it, 20 years ago, we did not have vehicles that drove autonomously or included heated seats or GPS systems or extensive infotainment systems. Our cars really have become our second home. So an AGM battery is really the best suited to ensure that your second home is working properly.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's cars, and Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I invite you to participate, and surely you have a question or two about warranties and who can perform maintenance. I hesitate to use the word maintenance, and let me tell you why right after I get back to the rest of my story, which was, why would you change the oil at 3,500 miles when the manufacturer still shows on the the percentage of life left in your oil could be 80% or 75%. Number one, I like to remove the original factory fill of oil at 3,500 miles so that I can determine and look at that oil if there's any challenges with the engine. And even if you don't look at the oil that's drained out of your vehicle, 3,500 miles is plenty of time to determine, and here's where that number comes in for 3,500 for me. And 3,500 could be, 3 months. It could be 6 months. I wouldn't go beyond the 6 months, even if you had, 3,000 miles. But what you want to do is you want to leave the vehicle as it is delivered, has been delivered from the factory for at least 3,000 to 3,500 miles, so that you can determine if there's any oil leaks or any problems and challenges within the engine. And you say, well, how will I know? Well, you'll know by any strange noises or leaks or performance or any possibilities. And if you were to, and I'm just saying here, if you were to change the oil at 3,500 and then your engine at 10,000 miles used oil, then it could be construed that, well, if you had left well enough alone, maybe it would not have used oil. I mean, there's always that ghost of a chance there. So leave the factory fill of oil in your vehicle long enough for it to settle in and for the engine to break in. Now, the good news is an engine break-in could take as much as 10,000 miles. In a diesel, for instance, diesel manufacturers will tell you don't change to a synthetic oil in your diesel until after 10,000 miles. So that's where the engine has had plenty of time for the parts to mate and seat, because those parts are, none of those parts are perfect. There are no perfect parts. Not like a true white clear-cut diamond. There are no perfect parts. There, as one of my mentors told me, a tool and die maker, he said it's pretty close. So because we have parts, pistons, rings, cylinders, heads, valves, valve guides, rocker arms, camshafts, timing chains, timing belts, because we have all that rotating mass and the solidarity of the block, which doesn't move, because we have all, of course it does move because it grows and it contracts and expands with heat. You have to give all those parts and pieces time to wear in. As these parts wear in, there are particles of metal that get in the oil. So you want to drain those out. And if you were really curious as to what's going on with your automobile, you would do what the military does, and that is you would perform an analysis on the liquids, on the oil, the fluids, the gears, the whole 9 yards at regular intervals, not just to find out what's in the engine today, but to find out what is in the engine today compared to 10,000 miles down the road, and 20,000 and 30 and 40 and 50. So if you had those records, just like your health records, then you could determine and see the trend of wear in your engine. And this is standard procedure in aircraft. This is standard procedure in everything that flies, floats, or rolls in the military. And you say, well, yeah, but that's the military. Well, because there are so many vehicles that fly, float, and roll, and because they're critical in their mission, they cannot break down on the side of the desert in Desert Storm or on the side of the road, because they have life and limb to protect and us to protect. So that's stepped up the game a whole notch. Now, I will say this, it doesn't step up the game beyond my notch, because I appreciate and admire and enjoy driving a car that is both safe, performs to the tip and top of its ability, and delivers to me a comfortable, nice ride, or the ability and the power to pass when I want to and need to, or to merge onto an interstate when I must. So those are the things that we all do every day, that we all, not all, more or less take for granted. And I'm generalizing here. So we take those things for granted. And so you drive the car and you go to the store and you stop and start and go to, you do your life. And then one day you get out to the big box store and the car doesn't start. And it started that morning. It's made some funny noises over the past week or so or month or so, but you couldn't put your finger on it and you weren't sure, because during the starting cycle, maybe it did, didn't it start off? And so if you had just known that little, you'd say, oh, there's a problem here pending. So that's why you, not being a technician and not really caring to be a doctor of cars like I, but you have to write the check when you have the car repaired, so you can use your smell, your ears, your eyes, your nose. You can use all of the natural resources that you have to determine if your car is going astray. If it vibrates when you step on the brakes, well, that's easy, Bobby. But what if it makes a little rattling noise when you go over railroad tracks? And it used to go thump, thump, thump. Now it goes rackle, rackle. There's something loose under the car. Well, it's not supposed to be there. And what if you went 300 miles, plus or minus 10 or 15%? I mean, no. So you went 320, 290, 280, 300, but you hover around the 300 miles per tank of fuel. And all of a sudden you're going 250 miles. Well, hey, wait a minute. This is not right. Check the next tank. Don't let one tank throw you for a loop, because it's possible you didn't fill it all the way. And it's possible that, maybe the car is having a challenge, but if you check 2 tanks in a row, and maybe 3, you'll know for sure if the performance is still on track. And if it's not, you don't have to wait until the check engine light comes on. You don't have to wait, and here's, I guess, the moral of the story. You don't have to wait until your car takes you into its shop. You can take your car into the shop of your choice when both your pocketbook and your schedule permits. Does that make sense? Well, yeah, Bobby, it makes a lot of sense. Well, then I would challenge those of you who don't do it to do it, because there are too many who don't do it. And that makes it difficult. It makes it difficult on you with regard to the cost. It makes it difficult on your shop, because once the car goes beyond a threshold, you see, the car has a computer that masks a lot of issues. So if it has injectors that are stopped up or whatever problem, I won't go into the technical, the computer tries to and does make up for a lot of underperforming components. So by the time the computer says, I give up, this is not going to work, the check engine light's going to pop on. By the time you go in, as a rule, whatever has originally caused that problem has also affected other parts in the car, because there are 25 average black boxes in every car that comes off the assembly line today, and they are all connected. You disconnect a door lock, a simple door lock, and the car knows it. And then you go to a shop and have the door lock put back, and I'm talking about the automatic click where you click the key fob and the doors lock automatically. So you say, well, that left rear door, or the driver's door, which is, as a rule, the only time that people really address that issue, because they can't get in the car. So they bring the car in and they say, we got to put a new driver's door lock. Well, that driver's door lock is nothing more than a solenoid that goes click up, click down. And if you click something up and down, all you got to have is a ground and a switching hot. A ground full time and a hot to go up, and then a switch it and a hot to come down. It's a solenoid that pushes or pulls, right? Wrong. If that's the case, there'd be 3 wires going to it. There are 6 wires going to it. Average. It could be more. Why 6 wires? Because the computer on board, called a body control module, monitors the door locks, so that in the event of a crash and the airbag is deployed, that body control module will unlock all the doors. Why would you so that first responders can open a door in a crashed car without having to break a window that is possibly could cause injury to the passengers inside. Does that make sense? Well, sure it does. So that's why all this technology is a good thing. That's also why you should be more proactive in the servicing of your automobile, whether you go to the selling dealer or a franchise dealer or an independent of your choice. In the big scheme of things, it is your money. You put the miles on the car, you drive some of the new off, and therefore you must put the new back on the car. Whether it's tires, oh, well, I know that. Brakes, yeah, I know that. Wiper blades, well, yeah, I know that. Well, if that is the case, at what level of importance do you place those items? So it's summertime, it's vacation time coming up. So now is the time for you to, number one, what's the biggest bang for the buck? Knowledge. How do you get the most knowledge about the repairs and maintenance and servicing and the condition of your automobile? Have an annual inspection performed on that vehicle. We created an annual inspection from our pre-purchase vehicle inspection because it was probably the best service that we started out with ever in the history of our company. We've saved a lot of people a lot of money by checking the car that they're thinking of buying before they write the check for that car. And so that procedure worked so well that we also duplicated it, except for some minor changes, and we performed that annual inspection on our customers' cars. And also, when a new customer comes in, of which we've had more than 500 so far for 2018, we had 525 new customers in 2017. By the end of May this year, we had 480. It's amazing at what 2018 is doing right here in our business. A small business in Pensacola, Florida, some 47 years in the business. Why? Because we care, because we are professional, and because we look at every car as though that car belonged to Bobby. And you say, wait a minute, I don't need my car to be new. Granted, you don't. You just need it to be safe. And if it's not safe, you don't need to be driving it. Does that make sense? Well, yeah. So, that's kind of where I wanted to go today. Well, actually, I didn't know where I was going to go today. I try not to put myself into a particular place when I come on the air. I take your calls and I follow with that, or I share information that is new and current. Let's take a call from Stan, and then we'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. Stan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Having a great day here. I hope you are too.
I am. I really am. And Stan, I've got this information that I've set on here about the right to choose and about cars and technology and what have you. And, you and I both know that self-driving cars will be here. In fact, I've got another white paper on Ford Motor Company that's already rolled out a delivery service in Miami, Florida. And and let me share with you, just in the length of time that we have for this hour, here's what they did. They make a site, and this is Sharif Markby. I don't know. He's a Ford's vice president of autonomous vehicles and electrification. So recently he said that Ford is developing its very first autonomous vehicle operations terminal. Why? And here is the key of what I just said with regard to proactive. The site, located a short distance from downtown Miami, is set to include facilities to wash the autonomous vehicles, including their all-important sensors, and perform routine maintenance. So don't think that autonomous cars, folks, are going to bring the end to service, because autonomous cars have little to no tolerance for parts and components that are not performing at the top. And to that end, that means that we'll all be safer. And I know that, Stan, that you called and you have a tip on maintenance. I'm going to ask you to hold the line. We do have a second hour coming up, or you can call back. I want to hear all of the information that you are going to share with our Car Clinic listeners today, but we're out of time for the first hour. We have another hour coming up. And folks, 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. Think about it during this next 6 or 8, 10 minutes before we come back, and give us a call at 888 Car Clinic as to what you'd like to know at best how to save money and keep your car in your garage. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We just completed the first hour of today's broadcast. It's a gorgeous day here in Pensacola, Florida. We're coming to you from actually the center of the automotive universe, which is an all-digital studio located within a 15,000 square foot automotive service shop. 27 years on the air here, having founded Bobby Likis Car Clinic Network, and 47 years in automotive service, and some 50 or 60 hours a week. We have a dedicated team that every day, Monday through Friday, we repair, we prevent repairs, we service, we maintain, at some, over the years, more than 250,000 automobiles, cars and small trucks. So what does that mean? It means that on Saturday I get to share with you events and things that happen during the week that may help you keep your car in your garage and out of mine or out of your local service shop. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Diablo Sport and the Intune i3 Performance Programmer. You can boost your vehicle's power without even popping the hood. How? Well, go to diablosport.com and check it out. Also, proud to say that we're brought to you in part by K-Seal, and I'll tell you about K-Seal when I come back from the break, because if you have a car that has a head gasket or a block problem, I may have a solution for you. Don't touch that dial. Your vehicle a little sluggish, throwing off trouble codes? Take action with Berryman's B12 Chem Tool. Using HEST, or high-energy solvent technology, Berryman B12 Chem Tool fuel additive dissolves gum, varnish, and carbon deposits in the fuel system to help restore lost power and peak performance. But don't take our word for it. Brian was experiencing hesitation on his Accord when he recently hit 50,000 miles. After just one can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool, no more hesitation, and he can already feel the get up and go. Find out more at BerrymanProducts.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Folks, cold winters can cause batteries to lose their cold cranking amps and ability to start a vehicle. Make sure you have your battery tested and, if needed, replaced with an AGM. AGM batteries maintain more charge over time, better suited for start-stop systems, and if your battery tests low, make sure you check the alternator as well. An extreme cold followed by extreme heat can diminish battery life. Frequently jump-starting your battery or letting a vehicle just sit idle for days at a time can also slowly reduce your battery's power and effectiveness, risking a dead battery. The Bosch S6 High Performance AGM battery is more resilient to the constant demands of start-stop systems and vehicles with high electronic demands. If you're like me, always charging multiple devices, listening to the radio, enjoying all the technology and electronics in your vehicle, upgrading your battery to a Bosch AGM unit is a must-do to keep your vehicle running at its best and ensure you have battery power, always. To find an AGM battery for your vehicle, go to BoschAutoparts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Gas prices I'll share with you at $2.84 average, which, by the way, is from this same time last year, is higher than it was in every region of the United States. From same time last week is higher in 7 out of the 10 areas than it was the same time last week. $2.84, and on the West Coast, $3.40. Well, $3.39.3. It's pretty darn close to $3.40. We're going to see probably the gas prices continue to increase. What I'm going to monitor and be most interesting is to watch when gas prices, not if, but when the gas prices reach that choked threshold of, I'm going to say 470. Yeah, over 450. Perhaps maybe in California. That's true because of the price structure out there, I presume. Maybe it's more money out there, so people have more money to spend, so the manufacturers, the refiners, make more oil. I can't see that it costs more oil I can't see that it costs more to make gas in California than it would in Lexington, Kentucky. Fabio, what do you think about that? I mean, if we're gas makers and we've got gas coming in, oil coming in, and we've got a plant. I mean, the price of crude the same for California as it is for Lexington, Kentucky. I can't see where the price should be that much different. Not when you consider $3.39 to $2.84. That's 50 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Really? Anyway, it's beyond me. But I guess capitalism is at its best there at the gas pumps. So here's the point. What are you going to do? What decision will you make with regard to buying your next car? Will you buy an SUV or a pickup truck or a monster vehicle, a luxury car, or will you buy a spec car? A car I call a spec car, which is a less expensive and more MPG, not as many luxury items on it. So what will you choose? Well, number one, I guess your budget has to come in. Duh. Number one, what you're going to use the car for, your purpose, because if you're going to use the car on a highway, then you have to adjust your budget because the larger cars are more comfortable and safer on the highway. I think that's a given. And I could argue with you because my wife drives a smart car, but it's not a highway car. I know, I've had it on the highway. It will run just as fast as necessary on the highway, but it's not a highway automobile. But the bottom line, that's a choice that you can make, and that's the neat thing about where we live. We do have a choice. So I just would say to those of you who are thinking about buying a new car, I don't know that I would let the gas prices steer me one way or the other. That will influence your decision, but it shouldn't, absolutely dictate your decision. Okay, I'm going to go to the phones at 888 Car Clinic. Hannah will take your call at 888-227-2546 and put you in a queue, and I will put you on the air. I want to remind you, Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by K-Seal, the #1 step permanent multi-purpose system for coolant leak repair, including head gaskets, engine blocks, water pumps, and radiators. You can learn more at kseal.com. That's kseal.com, and I'll share this short story with you. We've had cars that come into our car clinic service that demanded more money to repair than the car was worth. At what point do you bite the bullet? And let's say you've got a car that has 200,000 miles on it, and it's got a head gasket repair. Do not repair that engine. I know we've gotten into that trap before, thinking that, it's a head gasket. Trust me, when you've got an engine that is on its last leg, whether it's 200,000, 300,000, or 50,000, depending on your proactive take care of, and it has a gasket problem, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by trying a sealer in that automobile. And I would say the same thing if you were talking to me on Monday morning at the service desk. And an easy way to test that theory is to add K-Seal to your automobile versus repairing that automobile. Now that's unusual for someone who's in that business to say that. But you see, if it works, I'm the hero. You've got a car and it's got a seal that's been sealed. It's got a leak that's been sealed. If it doesn't, then we can talk about next steps. And that's where the real rubber meets the road. And that's what my goal is here for this hour, is to help you better understand your options and better understand how to communicate with your local service shop, whether you're in New York there, or in Washington State, or in California, or in Daytona Beach, Florida, where there's a lot of racing going on today, or regardless of where your hometown is. We'll take a call from Stan. Stan, thanks for calling back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm going to turn the mic to you now. Glad to have you in the house.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad to be here. I have a KCL brag for you, as maybe I've told you before, but upon hearing this from you, my 95 Miata had a little bitty coolant lip that put a puddle 6 inches round over a weekend sometimes.
Wow.
And it stayed that way for a long time, and I could not find it, so I put KCL in, and it's gone. And that was 4 or 5 months ago now, and it's still dry, and I appreciate KCL.
Well, I thank you for that, and you know, to that end, I've had a similar experience with and you know this from my talking about this, Mini Cooper. I purchased a new Mini Cooper, and it had a Phantom. It never leaked on the floor, but the coolant reservoir would go low, and come to find out that it had a thermostat housing gasket. But I will tell you, Stan, that gasket and that thermostat is located way down there, buried. And I will tell you, of all the cars we worked on, there are 2 cars that are the most difficult, a Mini Cooper and an Audi. Those are the 2 most difficult, and Audi is so difficult to work on that there's a repair mode for the front end of the car, and you actually put it into repair mode, which means you take the front bumper and the grille and you move it forward 5 inches or 4 inches to give you room to get down to the front of the motor there to replace a belt. Anyway, it's very interesting. Do I like Audis? I do. I like all cars. I don't drive one, but that's for another show. Anyway, Stan, you were going to talk about maintenance.
What I'm calling about.
Okay.
Yeah, my sister is going to drive across country down here to Pensacola to come back to her hometown. And she called me, and we were talking about the travel, and I said, well, do have your truck, not just go to the auto parts store, go to your mechanic and tell them that you'd like, if you're going to be doing a travel.
Right.
And I told her, how old is the battery? She said, well, I think it came with it. And I said, well, having checked the date on the battery, you want to replace that. There's no use starting off with a more than 4-year-old battery.
Fact.
And I told her I would have him change the fluid, brake fluid, and just do an inspection. But my call to you is, I learned these things from you. So what else should I tell her to have their mechanic check? It's going in tomorrow.
I think she should take, and this is going to be a shocker to a lot of people, I think she should take all of her service records to that person and say, here is the car with X miles in this wad. Here are the records to support, you know, and you can't see me, but if you're watch Bobby Live, you could. So here we got a car with 100,000 miles on it. We've got a 2-foot stack over here, and if we've got 3 slips of papers where we've changed the oil every year or so, we've got an unmatching. We've got a car that stands to need a lot of things. And so rather than to, and my advice to her, rather than to specifically say what she should have done, the fact that she's going to take her car to a professional, and I would make sure this person that looks at it is a master ASE certified technician, and because that's a Blue Seal shop. All of our guys are ASE certified, and you have to be to be a Blue Seal. We're also AAA certified. But in order to, and a Bosch Automotive Service Center and a Napa Auto Care Center. So if you look at all of those certifications, that will be a trained professional that looks at her car, not at her records, but also at the car itself, and let the car tell him what it needs. Stay right there. I'll be back. This Engine Care Spotlight is brought to you by Walker Products, a leading manufacturer of quality fuel system components and engine management sensors. Many of today's diesel-powered vehicles are equipped with computer-controlled diesel emission systems that reduce soot and tailpipe emissions. These computers require accurate information from engine sensors. The exhaust gas temperature sensor, or EGT, relays the temperature of the diesel exhaust gases to the computer to properly control the exhaust gas after treatment system. This not only helps reduce harmful emissions, but also protects your vehicle. A faulty EGT sensor can have serious consequences. In addition to a dash warning light, you may experience a clogged diesel particulate filter, DPF, improper regeneration of the DPF, and overfueling, which can lead to failure of exhaust components or even internal engine damage. Walker Products offers OE quality sensors at aftermarket prices, and any skilled do-it-yourselfer can do the job. Learn more at walkerproducts.com. Talking tunes. No, not the ones on your radio. The ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for Power Tech. Jim touched on another benefit associated with automotive tuning and efficiency. Let's hear how tuning your vehicle can lead to increased fuel economy.
Superchips tuning essentially increases your vehicle's timing. It allows the truck or the car, the SUV, Jeep to run in a higher gear, and it improves the process which we call atomization, which is essentially it turns bulk liquid into spray, and when you achieve this, you increase fuel pressure and you increase your fuel economy. So as a result, you can run the vehicle in a higher gear with advanced timing, and you get a more complete burn. We've done extensive road and dyno testing to validate these claims, and it really impacts the bottom line for the consumer with the Superchips Flashpack.
Find your perfect tune at superchips.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with Stan about cars. So, well, we are. Now, Stan, here's what I thought about, and your sister, so how far is your sister going to be traveling, and how many miles, what year is her car?
Okay, it's a 09 Silverado, and she's going to be coming from Washington State. So my wife's flying up there to drive back with her, and they're going to have a great road trip as long as the vehicle's
okay. Here's the easiest and most thorough way for her to ensure that she's going to have, well, not ensure, but to have the best opportunity for a safe trip. She takes her car to an ASC shop, where, you know, it could be a dealership or it could be an independent. And if she doesn't have one that she frequents, she can go, as you know, to asashop.org. And I highly recommend that she does that because the Automotive Service Association is to the automotive service industry what the AMA is to the American Medical Association. So asashop.org, find a shop, call that shop and ask them. And here's something that I really would, I wish was available. It's not. I just checked it while we were in the break. We have incorporated this in the last year, and we bought this software from a company called Auto Vitals. It's a digital vehicle inspection. And the digital vehicle inspection is the culmination of all of my years' experience, all rolled into one a mini iPad. And each one of my technicians has an iPad, And when we perform an inspection, they will take that iPad and take pictures of suspect parts of that car. Plus, we have created a folder with drop downs so that the technician can, if he sees a particular shortcoming, drop down that folder and tick that and click that part of that car. Now, what this means is everything that the technician sees that is not right about the car that he is inspecting and clicks automatically propagates the customer's file at the service desk, so we can have one of our technicians in bay number 16, which is out of all the bays, the one that's farthest away, and yet instantaneously, if there's an oil leak or a brake fluid leak or brake wear, click that picture, it immediately and wirelessly goes to the service desk, and at the service desk, and you've been there, we have 2 screens for each station. One screen is dedicated to the auto vitals, and we can show in real time our customers at the service desk or email to them pictures. It is I am the most confident that my team is giving the kind of service and inspection that I would do personally on every car, and that's about as powerful a statement as I've ever made. And I will tell you, and this is not a promo for Auto Vitals, because they don't even have a website for consumers. I'm just telling you, this is the company that we chose, and this is the best inspection and the best process that we've ever done in our 47 years of history. Now, if she could possibly find a service shop that has a digital inspection, whether it's Auto Vitals or if there are others, I'm sure that there could be, but I mean, you know, I'm sure they don't have a lock on digital inspections, but that would be my choice. And then in final closing, I would recommend that your sister, while she's at the shop, stay at the shop, and then if there's a challenge, she calls you, and that shop then takes pictures the hard way with their iPhone and sends it to you, and then you can be better assured. And my only real concern for her is that those vehicles have a propensity to lose their transmissions across the highway, and I've had this happen on 3 of my customers' cars of that particular era. So I think a good fluid exchange of the transmission would be proactive, and the normal inspection, whatever comes up, and she can feel free to reach out to you, and you can know how to find me. Hey, Stan, thanks for your call.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Sir.
Yeah. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate your confidence and always your call. Let's go to Texas now. I'll take a call from Craig. And folks, the number for you to call is 888-227-2546. Craig, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hello, Bobby. I love your show.
Thank you so much.
It's a little more complicated than what I told the screener, but my wife and I had a 04 G35 Infiniti. We kept it in excellent shape. We sold it to a friend a year and a half ago.
Right.
A friend that's a kid, and my kid play baseball together. It's got approximately 145,000 miles on it, and I'm hearing now that the head gasket is blown.
Right.
They probably overheated it.
Oh, yeah.
We sold it for $4,500.
Right.
So we gave them a good deal, but now with that number of miles on a vehicle, the age, the cost of repairs, I'm kind of trying to figure out what advice to give them. Should they try to repair it? Should they try to sell it to a mechanic, try to get what they can get out of it? Or
no, sell it to the mechanic part. No, that's because it's only going to bring a couple $100. I mean, the mechanic's going to only. I'm not comfortable with that. It has happened at my shop, Craig, but every time it happens, at no point was I ever and have I ever been comfortable, because for me, if a car comes in that needs more work and money than that car is worth, then there's 2 ways to look at that. Number one, cut your losses and get rid of it. And I think that's where you're going, and I would agree with that. I would agree that they should do that. Okay, so let's park that to one side. If they sell it to the technician, then there's always this scenario, well, what if there's more, what if that's the only thing that's wrong is a head gasket, and you spent a couple $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever it cost was, and you could rely on that car. I mean, if the technician bought it and he fixed it or she fixed it and it didn't work, they have no one to blame themselves, and it's their labor. I mean, the parts are, a head gasket, that's, $100 or whatever, $150, whatever the kit costs. The challenge with performing that job in a professional manner for a customer, you not only repair the head gasket, you better make sure that the head is flat, you better make sure that all the valves seat and the valve springs, and you don't have any idea until you take the head off if there's any cylinder wall damage, because the reasons that head gaskets blow is because the engine is overheated for some other reason, and the head warps. And just like you put your hand flat on the ground, well, if you raise the palm of your hand up, there's room there, and there's no sandwich between the head and the block, so the pressure from the piston pushes the gasket out, and that's what causes it to blow. So I have an issue with technicians buying cars because, number one, how does an owner of a car know that the technician knows more than what the technician is telling them? I don't like, there's too much gray area. I'm not making myself clear, and I trust my guys. I trust technicians. But how do you know? It's like, oh, you better sell this car. This car's going to, this car's going to kill you. It needs brakes. It needs transmission. And we've seen it. And we have, in the past, of our 47 years, in the past 5 years, and especially in the past 2 years, we've become so transparent. Just yesterday, I had a gentleman that's never had a vehicle in my shop, and I've known this gentleman. I knew his dad, actually. He made an appointment with me to see me personally, and we sat in this very same studio yesterday, and he's got a F-150 truck, and he's got a company, and this is a truck that he wants to spend some money on and use it, and it has a blown engine, and it was owned by one of the company principals and given to his son, and he sat there trying to talk me into repairing this truck. I said, no, here, and this happened just yesterday. I said, here's where we're going to do this. How do I know what condition the suspension, the brakes, the transmission's in, because the engine doesn't run? So if we spend X thousands of dollars to replace the engine, and then we have a transmission, then you're doubled buried in this truck. Now, in this case, Craig, unlike your G35, trucks are so expensive that it would have to really be bad not to be worth repairing, because he doesn't want a new truck. He just wants one to add to his fleet. The challenge is that, the son of the other owner drove this truck until it stopped. And it's got a couple 100,000 miles on it. It's a Ford V8, and there are known problems with spark plugs and timing chains and all those coking, oil coking up. So here's what I had him do, and I have received those pictures. I said, send me pictures of under the hood, because see, I'm looking for patches. I'm looking at the reservoir, I'm looking at the radiator, I'm looking at hoses, I'm looking at the battery cables. I said, send me pictures of that, and then bring me all of your service records. And then tow your vehicle in here, and I will look at all of those evidences and the vehicle itself, and I will tell you whether or not we will put an engine in the vehicle, or we will tell you not to repair this vehicle. And he almost tried to talk me into repairing the car. I said, it's not going to work that way, because if we could fast forward to the point that we already replaced the engine, and then the suspension, and then the brakes were dangerous, and then we put a master cylinder on it, and then you drove it for a week and the transmission's gone because the fluid is so bad and because it's got so many miles. So Craig, you're right. There's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration, especially when I've never seen this vehicle before. In the case of this G35, I can assure you, at least from hearing you, you took care of it. So how many miles did this person drive it before he destroyed it? Because engines and cars do not destroy themselves. People that drive them do. That makes sense?
Yes, sir. They've had the vehicle a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
And a 17-year-old and a 50-something-year-old with a heavy foot.
Hey, stay right there, folks. I want to come back, and Chris, you stay right there, and folks, we'll take your call at 888-227-2546.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Now's the time to get in. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. So Craig, as we close our conversation with the blown head gasket for this vehicle, is this car in a shop, or have they taken it to a shop yet, or do you know?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's my understanding, and I haven't talked to them in detail, but I'm hearing from my son that they have taken it to the shop. The shop has it, and they've diagnosed it with a blown head gasket.
Right.
And the word is that it's going to cost more to repair than the vehicle is worth.
Yeah.
That's all I know at this point. Now, the broader question is, what is a 14 or 15-year-old Nissan product worth, and what other problems are you going to run into with 150,000 miles.
Well,
I mean, it was an excellent car for us.
That's exactly what the discussion I had with this business owner yesterday about this truck. The difference is this. A truck's expensive. I mean, any truck he finds $30,000. So if he can put half that or less than half that in this truck, and I give him 5 years of use out of it, I'm the hero here. But that leads me to believe, or it leads me to challenge, do I buy a reman engine from a national company that comes with a 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty? Do I find a used engine that is known quality? And so I already have my team working on that, because I'm going to really look at this vehicle. I'm going to put the numbers to it, and I'm going to put, more importantly, the end of the life of the vehicle. Is it worth repairing? To that end, if you owned this car and this 17-year-old had not driven it, and his dad, his heavy-footed dad, had not driven it, and you had this head gasket that just happened, then I would say to you, you can consider repairing this, because what you would in essence be doing, and understand this, Craig, you would be buying your own car back. You already, this is the only scenario if you'd kept this car and had this problem. You know, because you're a good steward, you know that the rest of the car is in good shape. So if you had to spend more money than the car is worth, that would be okay, because you're in essence buying your own car back versus buying another used car. And let's say you spent $3,000. Let's pick a number, $3,000, and your car's only worth $2,500. Well, you could go buy another used car for $3,000, and you probably could spend $5,000 on it, and it still wouldn't be any good. But you, in your position, because you had owned this car, already know it's good parts. So it's okay to spend the $3,000 on the bad part, because you're buying your car back. Unfortunately, in this case, they took a good car a year and a half, and they've run the new off of it, what new you left on it, and I'm going to say don't repair it. To that end, here's what I would do, and this is one of those no-brainers. I would highly suggest that the owner use the K-Seal product. This is the perfect. I can't talk without moving my arm, because I'm a Greek, And it's the perfect time for them to use that product and just see what it does. And so that's what I would recommend. That way, they're not out any money, and if it doesn't work, they're not out any money. But if they spend $3,000 and then the cylinders in the car starts using oil because it has damage from the overheating, you don't know how hot it got, nor do I. So that's what I would do, and that's the only thing I feel comfortable advising them to do, because we're not privy to all of the above that we just talked about. You understand where I just said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All
And
right.
I've looked up that sealant, and I thought about that as well, because you have nothing to lose. Like you say.
Exactly. And in this case, even if they said, okay, we're going to fix this car and it's going to be real fine, if it used oil afterwards, I'm talking about a quart every 500 miles or so, or if it had a transmission, they're gonna slap themselves and say, well, we should have cut bait there. So I think this is a no-brainer, and you and I are on the same page. I would ask that you please, when you get to the other side, call me back and give me a report from this real case evidence here.
Right, and we sold it to him with the understanding that the kid was going to drive it back and forth to school, maybe to baseball practice, not for the dad to drive it all over Texas and sit at baseball games in between games with the car running with the AC going and overheating. And
yes.
I'm pretty disturbed about it, because we've had a G35, a 37, and now a 50, and we've had good luck with the Infiniti Nissan product.
Yes, sir. Well, you're the type of individual that just because you had 3 of those Infinitis, you could have had 3 Toyotas or 3. I mean, you're a good car steward, and it shows, because it's not cars that break; it is people that drive them. Hey, thanks for your call. And where you live in Texas,
I'll let
by the
you
way?
know. Yes, sir.
Yeah, where do you live in Texas?
I live in Palestine, Texas, which is 50 miles south of Tyler.
Got it. Hey, thanks for your call, and do put on your plate to call me back when you get to the other side of this, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank
my friend.
you.
Thank you, Craig. Let's go to Chris in Alabama. Chris, thanks for holding, and then we're going to go to Oregon and Ronald. Chris, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you.
What can I do for you?
I have a 2000 Chevy S10 with 2.2 liter. It keeps throwing, it's misfire codes and misfiring, running real rough. I've changed coil packs over, done everything I could think of to do, and it still has this misfire bad to it. You think it may be the computer itself?
Well, I think what needs to be done is we need to see if we have a good foundation. I think you need to run a compression test. Let me ask this first question.
Yeah.
Does it have a distinct miss during idle? Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll fire right up, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and does the check engine light always come back on after you clear it?
Yeah. Correct.
And what is the code when that happens?
It was first cylinder 3 misfire, now it's random misfire.
And
multiple.
You replaced all the coils with new coils.
Yeah, new coils, new wires, plugs, over and over, and even took the heads down and put valves in it. Took the time, and I don't know, it could be bad cam or computer.
So this vehicle's had mechanical work to try to correct this problem as well as electronic work, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right, stop. Here's what you're to do, and then you can call me next week. You're to do is to run a compression test on this engine. Do you know the procedure to make that happen correctly?
Yes, I can do it.
Okay. Well, if you can do it, but you're only allowed 6 revolutions of the engine, you take all the plugs out. The engine should be warm. You take all the plugs out. You make sure the throttle is open. And if you've got a electronic throttle, I don't think you do on that one, but if you do, you got to take the throttle body off or open a vacuum hose. You got to let air into the engine, and you turn the motor over 6 times, and the first puff might be 40 to 75 pounds. Who cares? The second one should be 75 and up, and the last one should be 150. And if they're all 130 to 150, that's okay. But if you've got one that's bumping 70, and no matter what you do, it's bumping 90 or 70 or 60, then you'll know you got a piston ring problem or deeper in the engine problem or cam problem. And one more thing, Chris, if you got a cylinder that's 200 pounds of pressure per square inch and the rest of them 150, then you could have a bad cam problem. So that's your to do, is to find out first what is in the hole. What is mechanically the strength of the engine. You got it?
Yeah,
All right.
I got you.
All right. You going to do it?
Yeah.
All right. Call me next week.
All right.
Do it. Call me back.
All right.
All right. All right. Take care. Was his phone ringing? That's a weird phone. Let's go to Oregon. Ronald, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Bobby. Preparing your car for summertime driving, the cooling system. I got 2 questions, okay? The manual says every 5 years or 150,000 miles. That is one of my questions. And the other one is, what do you think of Dexcool, a GM product?
Well, Dexcool is long since been updated. A Dexcool OAP, Dexcool formula. Dexcool was initially not a good product, but that's because the application was wrong, and I'll say that because the trucking, the EPA, well, let me make it short. The trucking industry, the semis, when they service their cooling system, they don't service the little teacup like cars. They service gallons and gallons of that stuff, and that's toxic. So the challenge was to the industry and to the coolant manufacturers, make a coolant that lasts longer so we can run it longer cross country. So they did, 500,000 miles. Well, GM had such a great idea. Hey, let's put that in our passenger cars, and let's market that product to a forever cool. Now, they didn't say forever, but they said long life. But the implication was to the public heard what they wanted to hear. You never have to service this car. You know, which is a really a sticking point with me about my industry, but I don't want to go there because I don't have time to get on a soapbox. I just say, if you drive the new off a car, you got to put the new back on. To that end, Dexcool caused heater core failures, and if you don't believe me, you can just ask any dealer, any Chevy dealer, or any GM dealer, how many heater cores they sold before Dexcool came along and how many afterward. And so Dexcool was the kiss of death because people said, oh, this is okay. And 5 years down the road, 2 years down the road, there were reactions and corrosion and failure and leaks and dollars spent. You know, whoever made those cores really made a lot of money. But the bottom line is Dexcool was updated, and so it is no longer the same product. That's where we are with Dexcool. With regard to what time is it to service your cooling system fluids, coolant or antifreeze, same thing, should be checked on a pH level and checked for voltage to determine the condition of the coolant in the current car. Any questions?
And how's that done?
A pH strip, and it has to be a strip out of a sealed bottle. You can't open a pH strip and put it on the table because it will absorb the moisture from the air. And what it does, it looks for, in the pH strips, like we use those also for brake fluid, it tells you the pH level. And the pH level above 8.5 to 9 will eat aluminum. A pH level below 6 or 5 will cause cast iron to rust. Ironically, the swimming pool, like water, pH 8, is a really good place to be. So that's the answer to that question. Another question.
Okay. Yeah, I've got an all cast iron engine. I don't have any in aluminum. It's the 3800 engine, so I'm happy about that.
Well, it has aluminum.
And then
it has aluminum
the
intake.
5-year change. Okay. pH is the most important thing.
pH is most important, but see, electrolysis is also an issue, and that's a delicate. You know, a lot of people don't even know that there's voltage in the cooling system. You take a voltmeter, DVOM, and you ground one side, and you put the other in the coolant, and you read the voltage. And if it's more than 2 volts, you'll see that 0.3 of a volt. If it's more than 0.2 of a volt, I said 2, but I meant 0.2. So 0.3 of a volt is bad. And Ronald, have you ever squeezed a radiator hose and it was crunchy on the inside? You know, I have. That's because of electrolysis, and all cars suffer electrolysis because, especially your car, because you have a fan that's mounted on the engine, on the cooling, on the radiator, and there's a ground wire, but some of the grounding is done through the coolant, and that's typical. So anyway, check those things. 5 years too long to wait. You know. Anyway, short story. 5 years. So get it, flush it, make sure they use a machine that gets all the old out, and check it annually for pH and voltage. Hey, thanks for your call.
Oh, thank you much.
My pleasure. Joseph, take a quick call from Joseph. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got a 2001 Mercury Mountaineer with the 5.0 V8.
Yes, sir.
And I think I got a bad head gasket, so I'm going to put some gasket fix in it, a name brand product, and I just want to make sure I do it right.
Okay. What's your question to me?
Well, I read the directions on here. I'm going to go ahead and flush my radiator.
Why?
Even though I don't have to, according to the instructions.
That's not
but
what
is there anything that I need to watch out for in doing this?
Well, I'm not familiar with that product. The product that I've used is K-Seal, and with K-Seal, there are no stipulations. You take the cap off, you pour it in there, you let the car idle 15 minutes, and it does its work. So to me, Joseph, what I would do, especially when you look at and you're given, and Fabio, especially when you're considering the ease of and the expense of, were it my vehicle, I would buy the KCL product because you do not have to follow any specific instructions to pour the bottle in there. It's really that easy. I wish I had more time to converse with you. And I know there's a question from Joseph Whitfield on our Watch Bobby Live. Next week, another show, same time, same place. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or High Energy Solvent Technology. Helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. Gary's Mercury Sable was just running awful and throwing trouble codes. A local technician said it might cost as much as $600. So first, Gary tried Berryman B12 Chem Tool Fuel Additive, and now it runs like new with no trouble codes. Learn more about Berryman products and their HEST technology at berrymanproducts.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma